Here we're up to a new perik on Nun Ches on the base. Nun Ches on the base. A person says to his friend, "Say Mekadesh the Isha Ploinus. Go ahead and be Mekadesh woman so and so." Okay, he wants to marry so and so. V'holach, and the fellow goes. The kid shalatzmo, and he also liked the tools because instead of getting Mekadesh,
good enough for her.
Hey, listen, a little Cecilia action. Anyway, so the kiddush latzmai, mikudeshes, right? Mikudesh is the sheni. Yeah, mikudesh is the sheni. So mikudesh, they're not going to know anything. Trust me, the people who can listen to this one.
Yeah, they have some of us know the ending.
Okay, mikudesh is the sheni. She's mikudesh is the sheni. L'chera, it's a dava pasha, guys, right? L'chera, it's a dava pasha, right? What again? He sent it to marry, but he never gave her. Okay, so the Ran says, we don't say, had she known that it was a shliach for Gaye, maybe she wouldn't have accepted the Kidushin. In other words, maybe she would have, would have rather had the Mishaleach than the shliach, right? But so we don't say that. That's the Ran. No, the Gemara doesn't discuss it. Only the Ran gives the half mean. Like, why would the half mean be? In addition, ha'oimel leisha hariyat mekudeshes li lacha shleishim yoim. You're mekudesh to me after 30 days. And someone beats him to the punch and says, guess what? So the Maisa Kidushin is only is done. The Maisa Kidushin is done on day one, but the Chalois will only be after 30 days. It's not Me'achshav. So and Boach v'Kitsha, B'toy Shloshim Yoim Mekudeshes Sheni, she's Mekudeshes to the second individual. She's Mekudeshes to the second individual.
And she has to return the ring or the money or whatever.
Nervous?
What?
And the francs and blankets.
No, that never was.
The Horton money.
Interesting.
Right.
It doesn't say in Mekudeshes the Rishon. What happens if the guy who's Mekadesh dies within the 30 days? Then she's Mekudeshes to the Rishon. It doesn't say in Mekudeshes the Rishon, so she would be right. She would
hovering in the air. Kind of
yeah. Because the Chalais is only 30 days. She Mekudeshes the Rishon. Okay. Next case.
And so she can't be Mekudeshes to the first one if he's alive because it's gone.
Yeah. Bas Yisrael L'Koyen Toichel B'Truma. If the second person was the Koyen, she did Truma. However, may Achshav L'Achash Shleishim Yom, you Mekudeshes from now until after 30 days. And someone's Mekadesh within those 30 days. Mikudeshes vein Mikudeshes. L'shnehem. To both of them. Mikudeshes vein Mikudeshes. Look at the Rashi, the first Rashi on the 3 lines off in the bottom. Mikudeshes vein Mikudeshes l'shnehem. To number 1 and number 2. The Asur l'shnehem. She's also to both of them. LMK Nasan Echad get, only if one gives a get. Well, Adam Achar Asura, and to any else she's Asurat Shit l'shnehem get. Until they both give a kitten. The Gemara time the Gemara will explain why exactly why. So again, let's leave this to the Gemara. So finish off the Mishnah. But either way, so we have 3 cases, guys. Right. The first case, a shliach sends a person to go ahead and be Mekadesh and Isha, and he does. Unfortunately, not for the shaliach, but rather for himself. Mekadesh is the sheni. Second case. A man is Mekadesh and Isha, and it says the Chalois is going to be after 30 days. Someone comes along as Mekadesha, she's Mekadesh as L'Sheni, right? Because again, the Chalois was only after 30 days. May Achshav L'Sheni, she's Mekadesh vein Mekudeshes. And now we'll see, Machloikas between the Gemara between Rabbi and Shmuel, is that for Eva, it's only after 30 days. We'll see Be'ez Hashem what that means. Says the Gemara, Haimel Chaverit, say Mekadesh. Tana, Masha Asa Isai, El Shanai, Begminig Ramois. In other words, the guy went ahead and said, go be Mekadesh, this woman, and he goes ahead and he's Mekadesh for himself. So what did he do? He's Mekadesh L'Sheni. However, Shanoi B'Midir Ramois. The Tani Didon Holach Nami the Tani Holach B'Ramois. So guys, look at the top, look at the Mishnah's first line. Hamlech Haber, it's say Mekadesh L'Isha Ploinus. The Holach B'Ramois. The kitchel atzmai. So, like you add the word that Atana is not disagreeing with the Baisa. The Vaholach there means he went Biramois in a treacherous way. He went in a treacherous way and was Mekadesh for himself rather than the person who sent him. So that's what I'm. So I'm doing advice. For Tani done Holach Nami Diktani Holach Biramois. Now, go back to Daf Nun Amid Aleph, guys. Go back to Daf Nun Amid Aleph. There's the Mishnah, the first Mishnah on the page. He says a person says to a shliach, go be mekadesh miyanisha in one place, both mekisha b'makam acher in another place, and mekudeshes. If he says harim, okay, the bottom line is, if he says she is now in this place, then mekadesh another place mekudeshes. No, in the first case, he was only made a shliach for point A. You didn't make a shliach for point B. The second case, he just mara makam. Now, it doesn't say oim lechavera. He says oim leshluchai. What does our Mishnah say back by us? Oim lechavera. It's say b'kadosh l'isha. So the Gemara is in contrast the difference between, and really in both cases, it's a shlichus, right? I mean, the chaver cannot act upon for himself. He can't go ahead. Even if he knows the guy likes this particular woman, he cannot go ahead and mekadesh. He has to be appointed a shliach, right? So says the Gemara, Maishna Hacha in our Mishnah, the Tani Oim Lechaveroi, when he's the Oim Lechaveroi and the guy treacherously goes ahead as Mekadesh for himself. Well, Maishna Hasam and Daf Nun Amid Aleph, which we just looked at, the Tani Oim Leshluchai. What says the Gemara? Hacha Revusa Kamashman, Bahasam Kamashman. Both cases are telling us that. Hacha Revusa Kamashman, and when it says Oim Lechaveroi, the Tani Shluchai, if you would have said, someone says to a Shliach, go be mekadesh me a person in such and so. Hava mina shlucha hu dahavi ramoy. The shliach is a ramoy. The samcha daite because he has smichas das. Sava avli shluchuse is going to do his mission. Al chaveroi doy samcha daite, but his friends who is not samich das. In other words, a friend's attitude to do a favor for another friend is not to get the shlichus. The shlichus is a job. You're paid to do a job. You're going to do this job, right? So therefore, your samich das, the guy's going to do the job. Okay, maybe do me a favor, you go over there, you're Mekadesh Isha. It's much more lackadaisical attitude vis-a-vis Shlichus. Kamash Malon, that it won't be a Ramai. Okay, Kamash Malon. Now, now, if you would learn Oimel Chaveroi and not Shluchai, Havamina Chaveru, who the Chikitcha B'Mokam Acher Ena Mekudeshes. You know why? Like you said, you know why? The Saba like Tarach, I only made you Shliach over here. You're my friend. I don't expect you to go to Los Angeles if I made you a shliach in Detroit. But a shliach that you made for Los Angeles, even though you didn't make him a shliach for Detroit, you would think it's a job. So you be more samich das that maybe it would be a good Kidushin. So that's the Chiddush of the Nun. Even though you made him a shliach, and even though there's a svara to say he's going to do the job wherever, we don't say that. So the Chiddush over here is Chaveroi wouldn't get the moniker of a Ramai. Kamash Malon he does. The Kiddush over there is you would think maybe the shliach, even though he's made a shliach for point A, he would do his job even in point B, and he's samich das on that. Kamash Malon, that's the Kiddush over there in both places. Okay. The sublay tarach have a shluchay the tarach ema mara makam mulay. It's together that she's in Los Angeles now, but it ends up in Detroit. Kamash Malon, that no, you're only a messenger for Los Angeles. Rabbi Chasida, so a few cases now of people who tricked other people, or similar to what we said. Rabbi Chasida, he was a chassid. Azul Kidushin lay is a solo lebrei. He went to Mekadesh a woman for his son, and Kitchel and Avshay and Mekadesh himself. Right now, we give him a title of Chasida, correct? The chassid. Read the Gemara. But Tanya Masha Yosel Shaloi bin Ramois. How in the world could someone with the name Rabbi Chasida do this? Right? How could he possibly do this? So what happened? Lo yavu nehele. They didn't want to give it for the son. He wanted to do the shlichus, but they only wanted him. They didn't want his son. They wanted Ravin. The lady did not want Ravin's son. Wanted Ravin. So in other words, he can't. It's not Ramayas. What's Ramayas over here? They didn't want. In other words, it's not pshat that he tricked him. He asked, no. But if you're on the other hand, if you're interested, okay. So the still, if he's a chassid, he should have told his son. So he should have came back and said, "Listen, son, they don't want you, but they want me. Anyway, the reason that he didn't do that because so another man's going to come along and be mekadesh, so he lose the opportunity. Rabbi Bar Chana Yovle Zuze LeRav. Rabbi Bar Chana gave money to Rav. He told Rav, Zavna Nelli Lahai Ara. Please buy for me this land. Also, Zavla Nafshe Rav went and bought it for himself. Iva Tanya Masha. We talk about Rav, guys. Rav never looked behind his 4 amas. How could Rav do that? Says it's a play bago of very strong people. And the Rav Nagi Bakabit, the Rabbi Rachana Lanibi Kabit. In other words, they weren't interested in selling to Rabbi Rachana, but for Rav, the Kabit, Rav, the God Ladar, they would sell it to him. Fred the Gemara, boy, the same Kashi boy Rav should have came and told Rabbi Barachana the bad news. So the same teretz, us in Shachrina and Zavalei, he'll buy the land. A third case. What did he buy and then sell everywhere? He could, well, that's going to be next case over here. Rav Gidl having mahapich by he ara. Rav Gidl was being mahapich. He was going after this land. Like he really wanted to buy this land. He was very interested in buying this land, and mahapich, he was going after it, right? He was master of the land. That's Rav Gidl. Also, Rav Abba came along and he beat him to the punch, and Zavna, he bought it. Also, Rav Gidl and Kiblei Rav Zera, he went and complained in front of Rav Zera, what, with the names over here, that what Rav Abba did to him. Also, Rav Zera, Kiblei Rav Yitzchak Nafcha. And Rav Zera went ahead and complained to Yitzchak Nafcha about the actions of Rav Abba vis-a-vis Rav Gidl. Okay, you get a lot of players there. So Amalei, Rav Yitzchak Nafcha told Rav Zera, Himtim at Shiyale at Snena L'Regel, they give L'Regel, they'd have the perik of the Lima Torah, they'd come together. He saw it when Rav Abba came up, Ashachei, so Rav Yitzchak Nafcha found him, and Amalei, and Rav Yitzchak Nafcha asked Rav Abba, Ani Mahapif B'Charara, an Ani who's going after to be Soich, Rashi says some Hefka, Taisus disagrees, or he's going after some Charara, as a cookie. He's going after something. He's an Ani, and he's going after something. It comes along and beats the Ani to the punch. So Amalei Rav Abba told Rav Yitzchak Nafcha, Nikra Rasha. A guy would do this, what? He's Nikra Rasha, Sheyorid L'Chayiv Chavera, Rashi says. He's going into the livelihood of this person, right? So really, what Rav Yitzchak Nafcha was trying to go tell Rav Abba, well, you didn't act much differently vis-a-vis Rav Gidl. Rav Gidl was looking for this land. Why did you do this? He gave him a mashal. Why you did the same thing? Rav Gidl was looking for the land, and you, Rav Abba, went ahead and bought it. So Yitzchak Nafcha wants to put Rav Abba. Amalei said Rav Abba lehavi yadana. I didn't know that Rav Gidl wanted the land.
He jumped ahead of
I jumped the gun, but I didn't know. Says Hashtanami Nesev Nele Mar. Okay, so I'll give it to him. I'm like Zvuni Lemizavninala. The Arakam Isahi. Right? He said that I don't want to give it to him. Why? Because it was the first land that I bought, and to sell the first land, to sell it to him, right, is a bit sign. Rashi brings this like Mamash Rosh Hashanah time. Rashi says, guys, look, Milsa. The one before the Arda Kamaisa, Zuili Rishoida Shalakachnim Yalam. This is the first land that I bought. Blame Milsa, ain't a Simon Toiv Sheyimcha Adam Mechcha Rishon. It's not a Simon Toiv that you should sell your first thing. I saw La Halacha that doesn't mean your house, because you buy your house to sell. In other words, when people buy houses, they're not. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life in this house. You have to start a house. You might move. But land, again, Eretz Yisrael, it says Yerusha, basically that's where you are. That's where you are. So therefore, that would be the Simon Milsa over there rather than by us. So no, it's Rav Oven. They want to sell it to Rav Gidl because of what? Because of the bit Simon of your first property. However, tell, go ahead. If he wants to take it, if Rav Gidl wants to take my land, I'll give it to him. So Gidl Nachas, he didn't want it. Why the Chsib is saying Matanas Chichya? So he didn't want it. So now, this is talk about a quandary. Rav Abba Nachas La Mishum Dehafach Rav Gidl. Rav Abba didn't go sit on the land. Why? Because Rav Gidl, and he felt bad that he was going after it. And Loima Nachas La, and then there's neither one. Rav Gidl didn't want to go down because saying Matana. Rav Abba didn't want to go down because Rav Gidl was Ma'abich. And they went ahead, and this land became known as the land of the Chachamim, Rashi says that Tamidim used to go ahead and use this land. Right? Hefka Tamidim, there was Hefka for Tamidim. The Makna says it's not mamish land of Hefka, it's like a Sada, it's like a place that is not rentable. Okay, the next case of the Mishnah was a person who said to an Isha, be Mukadeshes to me after 30 days, and the guy beat him to the punch. Okay, and another person came, he's Mukadeshes to Shani. What happens if the second guy, no one comes? Mahu. Okay, so Rabbi Shmuel Damit Travayu Mukudeshes, right? She's Mukudeshes, and what's the Chiddush? I said you'll be Mukudeshes to me after 30 days. So what's the Chiddush? So you're Mukudeshes after 30 days. So I set you up because I didn't finish the Gemara. Guess what? The Maisa Kidushin was done 30 days before, but the Chalois of the Kidushin, there's nothing around. You gave him the Shava Pruta 30 days before, but at the time you gave the Shava Pruta the Maisa Kidushin, it's not a Chalois. The Chalois is 30 days later, and what do you have? Nada, nothing. What's the din? Both Rav and Shmuel are in agreement that Mikudeshes. My timer, Hani Zuze Loila Milva Dami, the Loila Pikadon Dami. Now, fellas, let's go back. Let's go back and Amasechta. Hamakadosh b'milva, and Mukudeshes. Hamakadosh b'pikadon, if you have left at the time of Kidushin a Shava Pruta. If you don't have a Shava Pruta, not. So it's when you're saying Mukudeshes, it's Nishtahi and Nishtaher. It's not Milva like Son, no, right? It's not Pikadon because Pikadon, since you don't have a Shava Pruta, also won't be. So says the Gemara. Look at Rashi, guys, on Pikadon, right? Rashi says on Vavla Pikadon Damu, the name that we would say Emloin Ishtayir B'Shava Pruta and Mukudeshes Kedama B'Yish Mekadesh. His Kashli Pikadon V'Holchom Matzay Shegon Voyashavad. You go and you find that it was stolen or lost in the Shtayir B'Shava Pruta Mukudeshes. So we're going to be on First Gemara not that long ago. Okay, so now this case says if you gave an act of Kedushin 30 days before and you gave him money, and the time of the Chalois of Kedushin there's nothing left, it's not a Milva, it's not a Pikadon, she's Mukudeshes. That's a Chiddush. Again, we're not discussing that. The Chiddush over here is if he changes his mind, when? Again, I'm not into that stuff. I don't. What does that mean? Give the money back? But in Stachlu Amois, I don't think so. I think we had the Gemara earlier. I don't think you have to give it back. I don't think you have to give the money back. I think we had the Gemara earlier. You don't have to give the money back. Okay, so now says the Gemara. It's not a milba. It's not a pikadon. Why not? Loidami lepikad lemilba lepikad loidami pikadon b'shusa demara ka misachli v'hani b'shusa dida ka misachli. Fellas, by pikadon, right? Who owns the pikadon? The mafkid. It's only the rishus of the nifgad, but it's right over here. Who owns this money? She does. So therefore, it's not similar to pikadon. Okay, so that's that. Then. Now, let's say loibo acha v'kitsha v'chazra, and she changes her mind. She accepted Kidushin on day 1, on day 15. And the Kidushin is going to be chal on day 30. On day 15, she says, ich will nicht. Mahu. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Chayzeres, she can go ahead and change her mind. Asi dibur umevatla dibur. The dibur of the now saying I don't want, can umevatla the dibur of the first acceptance. Asi dibur umevatla dibur. In other words, the first acceptance of Kidushin, since it's not chal till after 30 days, is only a dibur. Reish Lakish Amar Eina Chayzeres Loyasi Dibur Mevatel Dibur. Dibur cannot be Mevatel Dibur. Okay, says Rashi. B'chaza boy b'toich lamid Amar Iyavshi behen. Okay, if that's it, I don't want. Good. Now, so again, Rabbi Yochanan says Asi Dibur Mevatel Dibur. You can change your mind, and Reish Lakish says not. Esver Rabbi Yochanan says you could change your mind. Reish Lakish says you can't. Now you made a shliach to go ahead. What? And separate truma, bittul, and you mavatal the shliach. You sent the shliach to separate truma and bittul, and you mavatal the shliach. Imach leitaram bittul. If before he took off truma he was mavatal, Ain't truma say truma because he wasn't what? He wasn't a shliach. 1 second. V'hocha the dibur v'dibahu because he dibur mevatel dibur. Yeah, right? Kashan Reish Lakish. The bittel of the owner was mevatel the shliach. Dibur v'dibur. Shine.
He already separated it from his.
Actually, Torah bittel before he separated it. Ain't truma say truma. Now, how does Reish Lakish get out of it? Shininess.
Does that mean you can never be Mavatal that way? How are you supposed to
Yeah,
be Mavatal?
just hang in there at the end of the sug. You will see. Okay. You're asking a whole parak of Hashalech, right? We'll get to that. Okay. Now, shining the sina mois liyat isha, the chimaisidami. Pirish. I admit by truma, of course you can be mavatal. I agree, asi dibur mavatal, a regular dibur. On the other hand, this dibur to the isha was an accompanied with a maisa. You gave a kesef kedushin. So shining the sina mois liyat isha, the chimaisa dami. V'layasa dibur mavatal maisa. So don't, a regular dibur is is mavatal if it's just a regular dibur. But if the regular dibur is mevatel, a dibur that had been accompanied by a maisa, like this case, the maisa of the case of Kidushin, it's the asla yasidim b'chal maisa. It says right.
She didn't accept it.
She did accept it. She did accept it. She's going back. She accepted it. Day one, Hariyat Mukudeshes Libit Habazu after 30 days. She accepts the money. The maisa Kidushin is done on day one, Avi. The chalois is on day 30. But the Maisa, it's a Maisa Kedushin. Look at Rashi. The Chi Maisa Dami, even though the Kedushin is not Chal immediately, having Maisa Miha L'chol Achashloishin. It's the Maisa that will be Chal after 30. Rashi is bothered by your question. He's saying, even though right now it wasn't Poil, but since it will be, it's Kemaisa Damu. It's stronger than just a Dibor. Why did Rabbi notice if you Reish Lakish meant a Maisa, why'd you say Dibor? Because the bottom line is it's not Maisa or Mamish, it's a hybrid. The Maisa guys, what would the Maisa Mamish be? The Maisa Kedushin, the Chamaisa Kedushin, right? You gave her now a ring. You said be Mukudeshes to me, and and now she's Mukudeshes. You gave it a ring, but you said it's only going to be Chalet to 30 days. Says Rabbi Yochanan, does haste a dibur. It's a Maisa, it's not a Maisa, because no Chalois. Says Reish Lakish, no. Even though since this action will lead to a Maisa of a Chalois after 30 days, does haste a Maisa that a dibur won't be Mevatla. That's the Machlokes between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan. Maybe you good? Yeah, I thought it's good. Pay to wait, right? Esivei. Hashaleach get leishtoi. Someone sends a get to his wife. V'yigia b'shliach. So mamish perik hashaleach, right? We had this fourth perik, right? A man goes ahead, sends a get to his wife. He meets the shliach, or he sends the shliach after the shliach. V'amaloi get shenesat bottle. The get that I went ahead and gave to his bottle. Who's that bottle? I when I see this liat shliach, the pinisinas mostly at ishadami. The katani is that bottle. In other words, so now I just upped the ante, Rabbi Yochanan. Oh, you're telling me that if it's action is done, even though the chalois is going to be later, you did an act of Kidushin, even though the chalois is later. So you gave a get, a maisa, you gave the get to the shliach, even though it's not going to be chal. Now, what's the difference? There's a big difference, no? Yeah, what's the big difference?
It's not in her hands.
Oh, that's the bottom line. It doesn't make a difference the whole time that the get doesn't reach your hand. So good, you did an action, but the Seishnish kan maisa. I like that hezva. You did an action, but the Seishnish kan maisa. It's not considered a maisa, right? By the Kedushin, you did a maisa that it's going to lead directly to Kedushin. But the get, what's the get? Nothing happens with the get till it gets there. The Kedushin, when it happened because you did a maisa earlier. And therefore, Dibu Asi Dibu Vatal Diba. Now the tables are turned. Reish Lakish, who says that it's not batal, turns to Rabbi Yochanan and says it is batal. Kol hakelim yordin l'dei tumasan. Now we know for a keli, fellas, to be the kabel tuma, you need a gemar malacha. It's got to be complete. Now sometimes it could be used but it's not the normal way of being complete. It very much then depends on a person's machshava. Will the person go ahead, Rod, and let's say you have a you have a leather blanket. You want to make a saddle out of it, and then you say, 1 second, I could use it as a tablecloth. It would be Makabel Tumah then. It would be Makabel Tumah. Well, it doesn't have a base kibble. It would be Makabel Tumah, if it had a base kibble. Why? Because my machshava completed it. So you have a kli over here, and usually the kalim, what would they do? They would rub the kli. They would mishafshif the kli. So if, let's say, he thought about machshava, he thought about, I'm going to use the kli without the rubbing, then it's a gemar malacha. But it's not a maisa. The maisa would be what? The action of rubbing. So now, kol hakelim yonei tinosim machshava. So even though usually you rub, my machshava is, I'm not going to rub it, I'm going to use it. However, vein oilim miyad tumasan ela b'shina maisa. And they own not oilim tumas shina maisa. Guys, let's Rashi in the page. Vein oilim tumasan mishikiblu, once they makabel it, ela b'shina maisa. Sheyasiba maisa lekilkalam. You have to do a maisa. Once it was kabel tumah ready, sheyishabram, you got to break them, or you knock them, you put a hole in them. The chain actually yikablu tumah, and also until they were makabel tumah, in oilim mitaris kabbalas tumah, they don't leave the capacity of being able to be makabel tumah. Sheyadim machshavazu ela b'shina maisa at sheyasu loshef l'shabel garer. In other words, I thought about this keli that I'm going to use it right now. Then I go ahead and change my mind. My changing mind doesn't help. I have to go ahead and do an actual action to go ahead and take it off the capacity of makabel tumah. Good. Listen now. Again, if I have machshava to go ahead and use it now, it's the makabel tumah. And the ein oilim midei tumasa and el b'shina maisa. And 1, if it's makabel tumah, you need a shina maisa. And two, before you turn the page. And 2, this is the picture that we need. And even if it's not makabel tumah, it's roy to be makabel tumah because of my machshava. I would need a maisa to be moitzi midei that machshava. Okay. El b'shina maisa. Now, maisa moitzi biyad maisa umiyad machshava. A maisa, in this case, the rubbing of the kli can be moitzi miyad maisa. It can go ahead and be moitzi miyad maisa. Rashi says, "Hichlef loshuf bittel mehem taris mar malacha l'shem kli." And if you begin rubbing it, you mevatel the Torah of gemar malacha, whether ben yori l'ma yidei maisa shechlikon, maybe that it was yori l'ma yidei maisa that you smooth it out. In other words, I went ahead and I smoothed the kli was smooth. I did a maisa, I smoothed it out. It would be makabel tumah. Now I begin rubbing the kli. I want to put abrasions in the kli, right? That would go ahead and take it off the tumah again, because the maisa of the rubbing overcame the maisa of smoothing. And let's say I had a machshava to go ahead and use it. Certainly, the maisa of rubbing would go ahead and take two. So now, maisa miyad maisa. The act of rubbing could be maisa the act of smoothing. Umiyad machshava, and machshava to use as is. Machshava ain't maitzi. Loy miyad maisa, loy miyad machshava. Machshava to go ahead and use it cannot be maitzi loy miyad maisa. What does that mean? Rashi says, machshava ain't a maitzi. You're going to think that you think you're going to rub it. After you thought not to rub it, it doesn't help. Once I thought not to rub, to think that I am going to rub doesn't help, right? So bishlema miyad maisa leimafka leyasi dibu mevatel maisa el miyad machshava miyatafik. Let you Rabbi Yochanan machshava should go ahead. So let's say I thought to go ahead and use as is, and now I thought not to use as is. I thought to rub. They you say asi dibu mevatel dibu, a machshava and machshava the same thing. So again, what we need is that last line. Let's go to the last line. If I think I'm going to use the kli as is, when usually it's rubbed, it's fighting makabel tumah. If I change my mind and say I want to rub it, it's still roy to makabel tumah because ein machshava moitzi miyad machshava. I'd have to rub it. Good. Bottom line is that's the same thing as asi dibur. So l'chayra, it should be like you, Rabbi Yochanan, who says asi dibur mevatel dibur, asi machshava mevatel machshava should be the din. Says the Gemara, shiny machshava de tuma dechi maisa dami. Machshava tuma is different because it's like a maisa. Okay, what does that mean? You know, guys, you know this. Yeah. Now we know that in order for a food stuff that is, yes, the food stuff that is disattached from the ground, in order to be makabel tuma, it needs hachshara. It needs to be prepared. That's preparation takes place by being getting liquidized by one of Yad Shach Adam, one of the 7 liquids. Okay. Now let's say you cut your grain and you wake up and you find it wet, and you say, "Oh no, I didn't want to." It's not royal kabel tuma. It's not royal kabel tuma. Now you go ahead. If you wake up and you find the way, so that's great. It's royal kabel tuma. Why? Because that it's even the Torah says kiyitain. It says kiyitain. We read it as kiyutan. So yitain means he'll put. Yutan means it is put by itself. So what do we mean? Just like yitain, you're happy with it. Yutan is you're happy with it. So even though it was put, it rained on it, if you're happy with it, it's good. So you see, yutan, which you don't do anything, is equivalent to yitain, where you're doing something. So mela, the machshav of tuma, is equal to an action. And that's why Rabbi Yochanan says, shiny tuma, that is considered like a ma'aser dami. Kid Rapapa, the Rapapa Rami, ksiv kiyitain, the karina kiyutan. Okay, it's at kiyutan, it's put, dumi the kiyitain, he'll put. Right, my yitain the nichale, he's happy with it because he did it. Af yutan the nichale. So very good, it's called a ma'aser. Good? Mm-hmm. So this, we learned the machloikas between Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan on the sugya of what to be mekadesh v'isha and being able to go ahead and change your mind. Rabbi Yochanan says you can't change your mind. Asi dibur mevatel dibur afilu a dibur that's accompanied by a ma'aser kedushin, but because the chalais is not there, and like Reish Lakish, no, if you bought the ma'aser kedushin, you gave money, it creates an action that's going to be poor later on. It's better than a stam dibur, and you can't change your mind. Good. That's where. So that's the sugya we had. According to who began the sugya, no one. No, it doesn't say. However, the same Gemara, but on a different topic. It says Rabbi Zvid Masni Lo Shmait Zahab. This way. V'chein he shenas l'rishus l'shlucha l'katsha v'holcha he v'kitches atzma. The same halacha would apply if she made a shliach and she went as makabel kedushin for herself. Im shalach kadmu kedushin. If she beat the shliach to the punch, then all kedushin's kedushin. Im shal shluchai kadmu ain't kedushin. If obviously she's an ashes ish and therefore her kedushin's nothing. Like kiddush atzmei v'chasrba mai. What's the din? And mahu. What's the din? Let's see Taisus. Like kiddush atzmei v'chasrba mahu. Near the farish v'chazaba b'layami ras l'shliach. She had charata, but not telling the shliach. The yom l'shliach ain't mitzayni shetek sheni. If she told the shliach, I don't want you to mekadesh me, she did the mekudeshes. The atam mishum the amar loy to have the shliach l'kadsheni like matzi chayzeres. No, so it must be she didn't tell the shliach. Good. Now, so Rabbi Yochanan chayzeres. Rabbi Yochanan says it's chayzeres. Eshlakasham ain't chayzeres. Rabbi Yochanan chayzeres. Asi dibur mevatel dibur. Right. Eshlakasham ain't chayzeres. Lay asi dibur mevatel dibur. Eser Rabbi Yochanan says he could be mevatel. Reish Lakish says he can't. Bittel by truma. The mevatel l'shliach imach like turn bittel ain't truma say truma. So the chayra the same thing over here. Amarava hachameskin going shekodem balbayis with Torah meskeriyav. Balbayis beat him to the punch. Avilei Maisa. He went ahead. He beat him to the punch by what? By doing an action, and therefore he was. It's his shlichus not chap. I mean his the dibur was accompanied by a Maisa that was mevatel. Eser Shlakish Rabbi Yochanan Kol HaKelim Yodin Leitu Masan Machshava. They know them to Mel B'Shin Maisa. Maisa Maisa Miyad Maisa Miyad Machshava Machshava Ein Maisa Lo Miyad Maisa Lo Miyad Machshava. Bishlei Miyad Maisa Lo Mafik Lo Yasi Dim Vadl Maisa. El Miyad Machshava Miyad Tafik Machshava Shim Mat. Let you Rabbi Yochanan Shim Vadl. Amalei Rabbi Yochanan says Shiny Machshava the Tumah the Chi Maisa Davi. Uchli Papa Labrius. The Rab Papa Rami. Rab Papa asked the stira. Ksiv ki yitain v'karin ki yutan. Okay, it's sad. Ki yutan dumya de yitain. Ma yitain de nichale. Af yutan nami de nichale. Eser Rabbi Yochanan that you could be mevatel. Reish Lakish you can. Ashlech ged liishtoi v'gia b'shliach. Ashisholach hakor shliach. V'yamalo get you nesati l'chabatel. Who I already said batel. Tiyufta Reish Lakish tiyufta. It's an upshlag of Reish Lakish, right? It's an upshlag of Reish Lakish. The Hilchas Agavasi de Rabbi Yochanan. If I feel it become Isa, halachas Rabbi Yochanan, even in the become Isa, not the way the woman was mevatel, is when the man was mevatel, that he could be mevatel, that the man goes ahead, there's a kaddish to Isha. We don't say that the chalais is going to be dependent upon the action. It depends upon the chalais, but we say that he can be mevatel. The Africa of the Ikla name is shining the scene smois the Yadisha, right? The Kamaisa dummy, even though in that case, the second case, the Isha didn't get anything. So there was no Maisa whatsoever. When the first case, there was a Maisa because he gave the case of Kedushin. I feel Lochi Yasadim Mavatal Dibor, even though it's a little Maisa. Fredimar Kasha Hilchasa Hilchasa. I have a Kasha, this halacha that you just pasking that Asidim Mavatal, I feel it was a little Maisa, I have a Kasha. Amit Hilchasa Kreb Yochanan. You said Hilchasa Kreb Yochanan. The Kaimlan Hilchasa Kreb Nachman, and we pass like Kreb Nachman. The boiler, we had this in Gittin. A guy's Mavatal Shlichus, is the get could use the get or not. Maushi Yachse Vigarishba. You Mavatal the Shliach, you Mavatal, right? Rav Nachman am Choysim Vigarishba, you could use it. Rav Sheshes am Ein Choysim Vigarishba. The Kaimlan Hilchasa Kavase, the Rav Nachman. Right? We find out what? The halacha is like Rav Nachman, so you see it's not botel. You can't be Mavatal. So that's what are you talking about? He the Balim Mitor Shliach, Mitor is Getle Badly. Who are you Mavatal? The get Mavatal the Shliach. So the get is still valuable. So you can use the get, so it's not a stira. Okay, what was the next thing? Is Mikudesh, the din is Mikudesh is the Sheni. So if a person comes along after 30 days, she's still Mikudesh is what? To the, so this is case number one. I'm giving you money now on day one. You're going to be Mikudesh to me after 30 days, and comes along a second person, and in the 30 days gives them money. The Mishnah says she's Mikudesh is the Sheni. Good? Mikudesh is the Sheni. Amarav, Mikudesh the Sheni Lo'olam, forever. In other words, that's it. Ushmula Mikudesh the Sheni ad Lamid Yoim. La'achal Lamid Yoim, Poke Kidushin Sheni, Begami Kidushin Rishon. So says Shmuel Chiddush Nifla, married to this guy on day 15. You know, after the honeymoon, she says, honeymoon's over. Honeymoon's over. I got a new guy to go to. Now, that you all bothered by the same question. Yosef Rav Chisda v'Kakashle. Kidushin Sheni b'may pok. We know one thing about the only way to end the marriage is one of two ways: neither get or death, right? So how in the world, just because if you want to see Mekudeshes the Sheni comes day 30, you know, not automatically Mekudeshes the Rishon, a woman can't be married to two men. So Amalei Rabbi Yosef, Mar, you Rav Chisda. You Rav Chisda. Reisha Masni, you learned this dialogue Machlekes Rav and Shmuel on the Reisha, case number 2, the case where you said it's going to be Chalois after 30 days. The Kasha, right? And what? And therefore you had the Kasha, where did that second Kedushin end? Rav Yehuda Aseifa Masnala. Rav Yehuda learned it on the Seifa, case number 3, May Achshav, until from now until after 30 days, V'lei Kashalei. And therefore you don't have a question. May Achshav, this is you get from now and after 30 days. Now, guys, that's an oxymoron, isn't it? This is you get now, this is your Kedushin now and after 30 days. You didn't say this Kedushin should be chal after 30 days. You said you should get now and after 30 days. So the question is the 30 days, is that a chazara or is that a condition? Mm-hmm. In other words, fellas, guys, listen, look at me. Eye contact. Guy gives money to an Isha and he says, yeah, this is your Kedushin now, right? And after 30 days. So there's two ways to look at it. I'm being Mekadesh you now, but the Chalais will only be after 30 days, and retroactively you'll be married to me. It's a condition. Or maybe he's having Charata. He says now, and then he says 30 days. I don't mean from now. I mean from only after 30 days, and therefore you're not Mekudeshes now. That 30 days, is it a condition on the Me'achshav, or is it total erasure of the Me'achshav? So now that's why Mekudeshes mean Mekudeshes. You don't know who she's married to. Mm-hmm. If you know for sure it's a Tanai, then she's going to be married to the first guy. If you know for sure it's Chazara, she's going to be married to the second guy. If you don't know, then good. So now we're going to apply the Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. That's what we're going to apply the Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. Says the Gemara. So Rabbi Yochanan, this is a say from Maslan. Me'achshav la'achar shloshim yoim, amarav mekudeshes ve'en mekudeshes la'olam. She's always going to be in that state. You need to get from both people. U'shmulam and no mekudeshes ve'en mekudeshes ela lamid yoim la'achad lamid paka kedusha sheni v'gami kedusha rishon. Now, why does Rav say in this state la'olam? L'Rav mesafkele itanoi have and you're married to the first guy. Ichazari have and you're married to the second guy. The Shmuel pshit le the tanoi have and therefore you're married to the first guy. Oop, good. Guys, you good? One more time, you're good. Okay, now, the Amaroyim, the Gedolia Amaroyim, Rav and Shmuel, is basically a Machloikas Tanoim. Dear Tanya, this is your get, Mehayoim, Ulachamisa. Let's go through the same thing, guys. Mehayoim, your get is now, Lachamisa, or after I die. And get Lachamisa, right? So good now. Get, Vena, get. It's a get, but it's not a get, right? We had this. It's right. It's a get, but it's a get, and it's not a get, right? So we don't know if it's chalois is after misa and then get lachamisa, and it's not a get, and right, it's not a get, and then she'd be subject to ad yibum, or right, good. So now, Rabbi Yoima kizeh get. It's a good get. Why? Because Rabbi is the Tanoi, and therefore it gets from Hayoim. So Fegdemara, the name of Rav Alocha Kirabonon, that is Mesupik, therefore get in other words, why would Rav and Shmuel have to tell us the din by Kidushin if you'd hear the same halacha from Tanoim by get? Just like the Rabbonon say you Mesupik and get vein get, Rav would agree with that. Just like Rebbe says that what? Just like Rebbe, where did I get Rebbe from? Yeah, Rebbe said it's a Tanoi. Shmuel says Tanoi. So you wouldn't have to learn the machlokes by Kidushin. You have when you have a previous machlokes Tanoim. So name a Rav Alocha Rabbanon and name a Shmuel Alocha Rebbe Tzricha. Dila ma Rav Alocha Rabbanon Havamina Hasam by Gittin Dil Rechaika Kaasa, that he's being Rechaika, and therefore, since he wants to be Merachika, he's Mesupik. Maybe he changed his mind. Therefore, he says they get lachmisa. Aval hacha del kroivakasi. Aimim moedle the Shmuel that it's a tanoi. The tanoi have it. Piyam Shmuel loch Rebbe. The loch is like Rebbe by get. Having a hasamud the get lachmisa, and everyone knows that, so it must be a tanoi. Aval hacha the yesh Kidushin lachmisa. Aimim moedle l'rav that may be mesupik. So tzricha. You're going to have to tell me